I just have to do a little shout out here. How fucking cool to find out you are nominated for a film you were in and it's coming from like Milan.
You know what I was doing when I found out I was nominated?
What?
I'll never forget this.
Oh, I can't
was
wait.
literally scraping gum off of the bottom of a table at my serving job. And I got this message that said, you just got nominated for Chasing Valentine at this Milan Film Festival. And I was like,
I've
and I had
never
a moment.
heard. Yeah. Like,
and then I went back to scraping gum and I was
Yes.
like, yeah. I'm a nominated actor. Scraping gum. That's
Take
me
that.
today.
Welcome to Liquid Courage, the podcast where I, Amanda Pereira, sit down with a fellow female artist that I admire and ask them the questions I've never had the guts to ask them before. Sounds scary? Well, it is. So I use a little liquid courage in the form of their favorite drink. We cheers, chat, and connect as I attempt to soak up all the wisdom these women have to offer. Today I sit down with Jen Pogue and enjoy some cold beer in some fancy wine glasses. Jen is an award-winning actor and producer, and one of the most pleasant human beings you'll ever get to spend time with. She is 1/3 of Film Coop, a Toronto-based film collective and production company, an associate producer for Women on Screen, and an industry series producer for the Canadian Film Festival. She co-created and co-hosts Women on Screen Out Loud, a podcast showcasing influential women who work in film and television through written essays and conversation. Jen is also a voice actor, and during COVID, she launched My Storytime Project, where she professionally records herself reading aloud whatever children's storybook she receives as a request, and then she posts it online in the hopes that it offers a few moments of relief to parents everywhere. And in case that's not enough to keep her busy, Jen also holds a certificate from the Canadian Institute of Floral Design and runs a side floral design business called Flowers by Jen, creating beautiful, whimsical works of floral art. So among many titles, Jen is an actor, a producer, and a woman I admire immensely. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you so much for
Hi.
having me.
Oh my God. I was just saying to you, thank you for being here. I was just saying to you, I have wanted to connect with you one-on-one for, honestly, I think maybe 6 years, 7 years. Like, that's a pathetic number, but I just think you're so wonderful in so many ways and like so talented in so many areas that I have so many like times where I've written down, consult with Jen, maybe reach out to Jen, ask Jen. And then I never do. So I'm just like, okay, when I was wanting to do this podcast, I'm like, I gotta talk to
So
Jen.
you've saved it all for today. Like, I'm just going to get grilled with all your questions from the past 6 years today.
Yeah. Basically, this is a free consult. No, not at all.
You got
Imagine
it.
I was just like, so if I was doing this kind of project, where should I apply for funding? Imagine I just started like using this as no. Okay, so you were telling me you drink beer out of a wine glass, which I love.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Why
Well, you
not?
know, I really love these glasses that were given to me as a housewarming gift when I first moved into this apartment. And it's one of the few nice things I own. So I just drink everything out of them.
And then it makes me feel great all the time. Well, I was like, screw it. I
feel
want
like
to
a
do that
classy
too.
lady.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
And
actually sorry.
And I'm usually pretty, even just trying to pick a drink for tonight. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's going to be a wine. It's going to be a beer. Indecisive. You drink beer out of your wine glass.
You drink beer I love it. Well, yeah, it's like we're drinking beer and wine. Like, it's perfect. Yeah. And I haven't used this wine glass yet. I bought it. Oh, it's making a great weird thing on the video, but it's like where it's like a rainbow sort of.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And I'm like, why not? I mean, I didn't do a good pour because I got so excited you were drinking out of a wine glass, ran off camera, quickly did it, and it's awful. But cheers, Jen. Thanks so much for being here with me today. What a cute
Thank you for inviting me. It's like we're out for a drink together, which we are, but virtually.
Honestly, I feel like this is just the new way people have drinks together. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm also just like, it is what it is. And it's better than not being able, like, what if I didn't have internet? Then I couldn't see the beautiful space, you know?
Imagine you had dial-up.
Imagine we had dial-up.
And
we can imagine that. I remember that.
I know this would be like a 6-hour conversation just to get like 10 minutes worth of content.
Oh,
because my mom would pick up the phone.
yeah.
She'd
My
forget.
brother,
Yeah.
she'd be like, Jen, my brother would be playing World of Warcraft and I'd be like,
Exactly.
get off. It'd be so
We
frustrating.
only have one computer. Get off.
Yeah, get off. Exactly.
Yeah.
A podcast, I couldn't do a podcast then. And the editing would be disastrous. It would be awful. Okay. I
Well,
want to,
what a world.
what a world, right? And this is why I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm so lucky to have internet. Like every single day, I'm like, I watch Real Housewives. I'm like, I'm so lucky to have internet. Like anything I do. Okay. I want to ask you about acting first. You wonderful
Sure.
actor, you. Okay.
Oh.
Did you always know that you wanted to be an actor? And like, did you have a lot of friends growing up that also wanted to be in the arts?
I had no friends that wanted to be in the arts growing up. I grew up in a small town just north of Toronto, Stouffville, Ontario. Stouffville,
Yeah.
which is a very big hockey town, as you know, a lot of small town Ontario kids can probably relate to. Yeah, you grew up close, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Roncesvalles in Toronto, but then when I was like a teenager though, I moved earlier than that, moved to Aurora. So like very close.
Aurora.
Yeah. Good memory,
Yeah.
Jen.
Yeah. So then I was a very shy kid. Long story short, somehow fell into like a church play or something like that. And then immediately was like, oh, this feels right. Characters and, finding your voice and collaboration and community and blah, and not sports. Great.
It was just that, not sports, like fabulous.
Not sports. So I've always said, like, as soon as I discovered that being an actor was a job, I was like, oh, well, I picked that one. Like if I have to pick something, then I pick that.
Yeah.
So it was as easy as that, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I have to do. Right now I sign up and now they hire me. We're good.
Great. So that's my path. Okay. This is the way it's going to go. So, and then I participated in as many like community theater stuff as I possibly could as a teenager. And I was in like the Markham Theater, and I did I did a Newmarket Theater. I did Beauty and the Beast there. I played Beauty. It was lovely. I did my first professional gig at the Haringey Barn Dinner Theater in a musical review that was there when I was 18 years old. I missed my high school graduation because I was performing that night, and I got paid every night, and they gave me pie, and I thought I had made it.
No, I don't think, and you were correct in that thought.
Yeah.
Like if I got paid and I got pie, and you were, how did that feel missing? Was that a hard decision to make, missing your graduation over a paid gig?
Not at all. Not one bit. I was like, well, I'm living my dream doing what I do. And then I got into college for acting. I went to Humber College for the acting conservatory there and for a couple years. And then I moved to the big old bad city of Toronto, and I truly lived out my dream of being a emerging actor / waitress for the next 15 years of my life. So
when you're a kid, like I feel like when you're a kid and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. Like you said, oh my God, that's a job. That's what I want to do. It's odd because it's like one of those jobs where you see it and you're like, I want to act. But then in having a career as an actor, you realize how little you're actually acting and how much you're like auditioning or like taking things or hustling, like trying to just make money so that you can go to an audition or it's how was your family, like what was their reaction when you said you wanted to be in the arts, when you wanted to perform? Oh no.
I think they were very surprised. Nobody in my family really pursued anything like that we're close with by any means. So I think they were kind of like, but they've always been absolutely wonderful and very encouraging. So I think I made it pretty clear pretty early on. So they were like, okay. So they took me to all my, rehearsals, and my mom, I remember I was like, Mom, I need a headshot. Like actors have headshots. And she's like, okay. So she sussed out some photographer in the Markham area. And I've got this very strange photo of me with like a little elephant in the background and like a rug on the wall. Like it's a very bizarre photo, but that was what we determined a headshot was, like
well, and your family is just like they don't know and they're just doing their best. They're like, sure. And it's like,
exactly,
it's a weird industry. The industry, and like for me at least, like a lot of the things don't make sense. They're not,
No.
you know, so it's not oh my God, it would be a hard thing if my kid was like, I want to do this, and I knew nothing about it.
It's such a tricky business to navigate.
Yeah.
Like, I can only imagine my mom trying her very best, but not
Yeah.
understanding whatsoever. And just
Yeah.
like, all she ever wanted was for me to be happy. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're wonderful, but and they still don't totally get it, but they still, you know, check in. I tell them what I'm doing. They nod their heads.
Yeah.
And then we
yeah.
talk about the weather, you know,
Yeah.
like that's just,
Yeah, totally. Well, and are there ever times where like, because it is a hard thing to explain, or even like I was just talking to my dad on the phone. He's like, how are you? I'm like, oh, I'm really busy, like with different projects for work. And he's thinking, oh, she's busy, so she's probably making a lot of money, so she's fine. And it's like, no, none of those projects are paying me. Like it's a very hard sort of thing to navigate. Do you ever, yeah, I guess when does it become difficult when you can't really relate to your family in that way? Like, let's say it's a family vacation, or if it's an event that you're like, I can't go to this, or like, this is where you not understanding my job kind of gets in the way.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Your faces are great.
That's, yeah. What are my little tricks and quirks for that? I don't know. It's like so second nature now. I'm like, huh. Or I'm like, Mom, especially lately, I guess, with like Zoom calls and meetings and things like that, because she's okay. So not to get into like pandemic talk necessarily, but at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of our work, my partner and I went away. So to my family, I was just suddenly unemployed. But to me, it's like, okay, those jobs went away, but like now we hustle in a new way. Now we learn how to pivot. Now we learn how to like switch that deal to this. Now I figure out what it means to audition online. Now now is the time to perfect my self-tape setup. You know what I mean? So my mom would be like, oh, what'd you do this week? Anything? And I'm like, you know, Mom, I keep busy. I keep busy. Yeah. Without necessarily saying all those things that I just said to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. It's weird because you're just constantly working without knowing when that paycheck is going to come. So it's not like you must relate to that too. Like,
yeah, it's strange. And then also there's a shame in it being about the paycheck, which it wasn't. It's about the passion, but you also need the paycheck, and you deserve the paycheck. You're great at what you do. It is a very, it is a strange sort of like ebb and flow, peaks and valleys of, I'm going to put in a ton of work now and it might not pay off for a year, but it will. Yeah, it is. And I get it. I mean, sometimes it's just easier to say, yeah, I've been busy, than sort of be like, I've been doing these things. Let me define all of them and explain all of them and why they might be worthwhile, but why they might not be, and why they, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the go-to phrase. Like, oh, keeping busy,
doing
busy.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentally stable, and we're doing great. So you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Cooked a new roast the other night, Mom.
Yeah. Ate a great roast. In terms of acting gigs that you've done, what's like a type of acting scene that you would love to do that you haven't gotten to do yet?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I have a new love for, and I think this has come from a lot of what's in town right now and what's been going on, and some of what I did last year. I definitely have a love for being that quirky friend character in a terrible, cheesy hall. And I've done a lot of auditioning for it, but I have not yet done as much as I want to do with that. So I want to be like that hilarious, quirky, dry-witted friend. That's
in like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, or like a romantic comedy, or like something with a little bit of grit, or maybe a little bit more than that. So
yes, all right. We're
like all the supporting characters in all the Julia Roberts films, like that.
Any of those ones.
Yeah, any of those ones.
Totally. Or like I would love to. I mean, this isn't really like cheesy rom-com, but like a Melissa McCarthy character in Bridesmaids, like just that friend who's like, snap the fuck out of it. Like, oh,
yes.
Yes. So fun. Oh, I would love that. What, like, okay, so you've been working in this industry for, you said over 15 years. I'm curious, what is Now looking back, and this might be different now with, with the pandemic happening, but what is something that you wish you would have learned sooner, or you would have known sooner? You could go back and be like, hey, starting out actor, here's a hot tip for you.
I love these like deep questions.
Yeah, this is why we drink. This is why we also drink on this show. No.
Hold on, I'm getting these notifications. I got to turn those off. Quit. Get out of here. This is drinking podcast time.
It's your agent being like, hey, we got an audition for a Hallmark movie. Hey, you're going to be the quirky girl. And you're like, get out of here. I'm
like, no, not right now.
Yeah.
Not right now. But immediately after, yes, I will respond to that email. Yeah. So what do I wish when I first started?
Yeah. What do you wish you knew like earlier in your career?
I wish that I knew that there was not one right way to go about things. I wish I knew that to just follow my intuition was the right way to go about things. I became, early on, I became really obsessed with trying to figure out what people did and how they did things. And that's how you do it, without necessarily, figuring out what was right for me. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm still doing a bit of that. And
and
I'm like just breaking out of that. I feel like, honestly,
I think I've only really realized that in the last couple of years, because I've, as we'll talk about later as well. I've been also hosting this podcast where I talk to incredible women in the industry, and no one knows what they're doing, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, they know what they're doing. They're absolute professionals. They're incredible and talented and hone their craft so beautifully, but they just, they all have their own path and their own way of doing things. And that's all of us. And I was so harped on like having to go to the right schools and having to do things step by step and getting that one right agent or people on your team and circulating yourself with that, where I was just like, okay, like, and that ended up being my path because that's what I pursued. But I wish I had followed my gut and intuition a little bit more. I think things would have happened faster, in a sense, had I done it that way. Or just more like what I went through a lot of hoops and hills and yeah.
And like, it's like, I've heard so many times when you live like just authentically yourself, which I feel sort of, how about saying authentically yourself? But when you listen to your gut and you make choices that are right for you, despite maybe somebody else being like, that's probably not the right decision, you do end up finding yourself in these different situations that are tailored to you, like that are right for you, but it is hard. You want to, if you want like a future in any career, what do? You look of how you do that. And there's ways, I find too, there's different ways like to learn to act. And that's great. There's tons of those resources. There's not a lot of ways to learn how to be an actor, like any of the business side. You're just sort of told you should already know this. And like, you should know the business, you should understand it. And so there's a bit of a shame around not knowing things as well. And everything's like a mystery.
Yeah. And I always advise, I'm like, take your career into your own hands. As soon as you can, as soon as you feel comfortable doing so. Like, I don't have any regrets, but I do wish that I'd started creating my own work a lot earlier in my career,
And I was going to ask you, so when you say like, take your career into your own hands, what's like something you remember doing that took your career into your own hands that you're like, fuck, I'm so glad I did that?
I started producing. I started learning how things are made. I started just doing it. I started circulating myself with people outside of the actor circles as well, which is interesting because like, I think for a really long time, I have incredible friends who are actors, but I didn't really go beyond that. And then when I started producing, I started meeting more people who were writers, who were in post-production, who, were other producers, were just interested in getting beyond that bubble. And like, that's just when things started making so much sense to me. I'm like, this is storytelling. Waiting around for your agent to call and complaining about when you're going to get that next audition. Like, that's not storytelling and creating, that's like a little bit
Mm-hmm.
soul crushing sometimes. So
Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
so it's such a feeling of powerlessness too. Like, it's like,
yeah.
you just have to wait. And yeah, I love that. Oh, I love that so much. Okay. So how did you, how did you first get into producing? How did you start that?
Um, I guess my first short film was my first real credit. So I made a short film called Time Out with
Mm-hmm.
my good friends Navin Ramaswaran, who's an incredible director, and Adam Langton, who's an incredible writer, and Bruce William Harper, who's an incredible DP. The
Mm-hmm.
four of us ended up at a film festival together because Navin had a feature film called Chasing Valentine that played at a film festival in Milan, Italy. And Adam was in it, I was in it, Bruce DP'd it, and there was a whole team, but it was the four of us that ended up making it out there. And we're just like, we're not gonna miss this opportunity. So we all started
Yeah.
making TV. We had the best time. And kind of what we were,
Can I also interrupt you and just interject and say, also nominated for a bunch of awards?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, look
I'm
at
sorry,
you.
but
You did your homework.
and I was also like, listen, Jen is so nice. She's probably not going to be like, yeah. And I was nominated in Milan. So I'm like, I just have to do a little shout out here. How fucking cool to find out you are nominated for a film you were in and it's coming from like Milan.
You know what I was doing when I found out I was nominated? I'll
What?
never forget this.
Oh, I
I
can't
was
wait.
literally scraping gum off of the bottom of a table at my serving job. And I got this message that said, you just got nominated for Chasing Valentine at this Milan Film Festival. And I was like,
I've
and I had a
never heard.
moment.
Yeah. Like,
And then I went back to scraping gum and I was like,
yeah.
I'm a nominated actor. Scraping gum. That's
Take
me
that.
today.
I've literally never heard anything that is more like, this is the definition of an actor. Like, yeah, I'm scraping gum and I found out I'm nominated in Milan for an acting.
And shortly after, I realized my shirt was inside out. And I was like,
Oh,
whatever.
no.
I'm a nominated actor.
In Milan, guys. I can wear my, this is
the new look. Yeah.
Okay, I totally interrupted you because I just was like, that would be such a cool moment. Like,
You just reminded me of that moment. Yeah. That was hilarious. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, did you have to stop yourself from just strutting in with your inside out shirt and just quitting right there?
Well, yeah, I was like, well, now I need to make money to go to Milan.
Yeah.
So
I asked
so
for
I'm not
more
gonna
shifts
quit today, but I am going to strut a little bit. Yeah.
I'm going to strut in the office and ask for more shifts because I need more money.
I need more money now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to have a nice outfit in Milan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
maybe
you
wear it inside out.
wear that inside out. I love that. And then it just catches on the trend. I love it.
So then so it was on the way, we were planning this trip and Adam, he's an incredible actor, but he also writes all these great stories and has been a writer for a while, but hadn't had anything made that he had written. And he was just chatting about these ideas that he had come up with. And I said, why don't we just shoot it? Let's just shoot it while we're on this trip. We're going to have time. We've got a little team with us.
Yeah.
And Navin brings his cameras wherever he goes. He always makes these like video diaries of fun adventures and things like that. He's so fun like that. So Navin was like, I'm into it. Let's just do it. So we filmed like a 10-minute short film while we were like kind of festival hopping, touring around. We would just we would do our thing during the day. We'd go back, we'd plan when we could fit in time to film a scene the next day. And that's kind of how it went. It was really like fun and fly by the seat of our pants. And then we came back to Ontario and we found an awesome little post team that finished the film for us. Probably took a year and a bit. It was volunteering because you can call in those favors your first couple of times making films. So, but you probably have to compromise with time. So, and I kind of oversaw the entire process and I basically pushed people into finishing it. So I was pretty pushy about it. And otherwise it wouldn't have gotten finished. So
exactly.
Yeah. So I called myself a producer at the end of it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is producing.
What a producer does,
literally
right?
Just like getting it from start to finish. So I think I'm a producer now.
Yeah.
And I want to learn more about this. And then I started attaching myself to other shorts that people wanted to make around town. And I ended up in a program through Actor Toronto that was Actor Toronto Women's Committee that had a
Mm.
program that mentored actors who wanted to become like directors or writers or producers, and kind of put you all together and gave you some mentors on top of it. So I got put with a group there, and we made a short film called Orchid. It was the ACTRA Toronto Women's Committee Toolkit program, if anyone's interested in checking that out. So it was awesome. They select a little team. We had a producer mentor. And then I also met my producing partners who I work with all the time during that shoot as well, Emily Andrews and Laura Norden from Film Coop.
Film Coop. Wow.
Yeah, so we oversaw Orchid until the end of it. And yeah. And then I just made like maybe, I don't even know anymore, like 15 shorts.
You've produced a lot.
Yeah, it's been a lot in a very short couple of years. So yeah, and a feature. And I'm about to go to camera on Monday on another feature. So
you are? Well, congratulations. How are you feeling about filming during COVID?
Terrified.
Yeah.
But also excited. No, more. I think I was terrified at the beginning, and now I'm more excited to just kind of get out there again. I think that we've worked really hard on our like COVID protocols. We've got a great safety officer in place. We're a small team. So now that the wheels are moving, I'm just like, okay, all right, it's time to get back out there. So,
yeah. Because I was literally sitting here today just thinking like, I just miss it. I miss performing.
Yeah.
I miss waiting rooms, like audition waiting rooms.
Oh my God. I'm actually like really nervous for the time I get called into a real life audition again. I'm just like, I'm gonna remember how to do this. Like I can't stop it and edit it.
I know, right? Which you're so used to now with self-tapes, like recording auditions at home. You're like, okay, I totally feel you. I'm also nervous going in. I worry that like already you have to just, you have to do whatever you need for yourself to be in the moment in an audition so that you're not like worrying, oh, that person in the waiting room, like, oh, I was just talking to them and they're not doing okay. Are they okay? Or like you go in the audition room and, oh, the camera's on the other side, or just, I mean, it's all a new space and, you can worry about a million things. I'm thinking, I hope I don't go in and I'm not worrying about safety. Like that's my thing. It's like, I hope I can walk in and feel safe and relaxed enough to perform in a way that I feel proud of,
Yeah, that's a very valid and fair concern. Absolutely. Even just getting there, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you, okay, so going to camera, are you acting in it?
I'm not acting.
As
no,
well?
I'm just
Not acting.
I'm on the producing team. So I'll be fast and furious behind a laptop.
Fast and furious. I love all these things of like, if someone was listening and wasn't exactly sure what a producer does, I actually feel like you, in all these different phrases, are summing it up perfectly. You're like, I make sure people get it done. Fast and furious behind the laptop from start to finish. Like
from start to finish, just constantly, and probably worrying enough for the entire team. So
you actually sound like a wonderful producer to be in a team with. Like really though, I want someone to make sure everyone's doing their job. I want someone to be there from start to finish. I think that's incredible. What do you love about it, Jen? Because when you're talking about it, you seem so like you seem like lit up about it. And also, I mean, you've done so many, you could stop and, only act. What do you love about producing?
What do I love? It's like such a weird time for you to ask me that because it's so stressful right now. But no, I think I love the collaboration. I love being part. I just love having my hands in all the different facets of it and really putting part of that team that puts these puzzle pieces together, and then you just let it unfold in front of you and you trust that you've like done your job to put the right pieces together in a sense. And we're just at that stage where it's like, okay, like we're pretty prepared, where there's still a few more things to figure out logistic wise. And I'm really nervous about waking up at 6 a.m. again.
When was the last time
on a regular basis?
I know.
I'm like, oh my God, can I even do that? I don't even know. Is that in me anymore? So, but we're just at that stage where it's about, okay, let them fly. And we go each so present during that time. You
Mm-hmm.
just have to be like literally making sure we're on this step. Okay, is everything here that needs to be here for this step? Okay, cool. What's the next step? Do we have everything? Are we at that next step? Okay, great. Okay, do we have everything for that? Like, there's just, I think it's just an ongoing crazy weird puzzle that
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to be engaged in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. How
yeah.
do you ever like, so I have produced projects out of necessity because they were projects that I was creating, and so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to produce this too. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times a producer really I mean, I have so much freaking respect for producers because like they do everything. It's like you're scheduling, you're also figuring out budgets. Like it's from every area, every topic. And often I'm like, fuck, I don't know enough about all these things. Like, I don't know about applying for funding and also how much certain things cost and to, schedule all these things and how long it takes. Like, what's your experience like with any sort of imposter syndrome or any sort of feeling like I'm not prepared for the job that like I'm going to have to do right now?
Yeah. I feel like that constantly, always. And no matter how many projects you've worked on, no project is the same. So there's
Mm,
always going to be something new to navigate and figure out.
mm-hmm.
So I think if that's anything, like imposter syndrome is real for everybody. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many hats and things to be filled when you're creating your work. And as a producer, like I'm constantly feeling like an imposter. Even when people ask me for advice, I'm like, I don't know if you want to be taking advice from me, because I literally am just figuring it out as I go.
Yeah, yeah.
But and sometimes it's successful and sometimes it's not, and
Mhm.
that's just it. No project is the same. You're gonna
Mhm.
there's always going to be something that is will seem unfigure outable, and then you will figure it out and you're going to feel like a freaking
Yeah.
total rock star once you do.
Yeah.
And then you're going to think you're a champion, and then you're going to get your ass kicked again because something else is going to come up and you're going to be like,
Yeah.
ah.
Your
So
shirt's going to be inside out and you're going to be like,
yeah,
"Damn it. God,
damn
I
it.
felt so good." And then my shirt was inside out. When you're talking about it, yeah, it's like I guess that's I guess that's also the thing that's so thrilling about being in the arts is like no project is the same. Like as soon as you feel like you've mastered something, here we go. You're going to feel like a novice again. Like it really is. I feel so when you're speaking about it, like I'm feeling so lucky to be in it because how fucking awesome to be in a line of work where I know like I will never stop learning. Like
Yeah.
there are always opportunities where I'm going to be faced with an opportunity where I get to better myself and like grow and learn something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's beautiful, right? Like
Well, yeah. Thank you for I mean, thank you for how you spoke about it because I think
I
that was like the gift in it, really.
I should probably, like, we should both probably just write that down somewhere and frame it and keep it on the wall, because when you are in those moments, it feels terrible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're like, okay, should I go get another job? Like, what am I doing
Yeah.
here? What's happening?
Oh,
But then, yeah.
I probably look for another job at least once every 2 weeks, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm still
Yeah.
getting suckered back into this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm
That's
like,
what it
when
is.
am I going to be a librarian, for the love of God?
I was just saying yesterday to somebody how I was like, I feel like a librarian would be such a beautiful career.
My dad was actually a librarian.
Was he?
He, he
Oh,
was really happy to retire. So
I wasn't sure if you're
maybe
like, he
it's
was
like this.
really happy, but
Yeah.
to retire.
So maybe it's like this in every single industry.
Yes. Oh
But
my
it's
God,
the grass is just
totally.
always greener. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is glamorized until you get into it. And then you're like, "Oh
Yeah.
crap." And actually that's a really important thing that I try and remember with acting too is like because it was chosen out of a passion, sometimes when you hate a bunch of
Mhm.
parts of it or you're really finding it difficult, I'm like, "Should it be this hard? Isn't it supposed to be a passion?" I remind myself like every job has a bunch of stuff that you're not going to like. Like you're not going to find a career where you love every single part of it. That doesn't exist, you know?
It's true.
So, yeah,
It's
that just
absolutely true.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, to end that, as soon as I kind of fell into producing,
Mhm.
so many things have come from it. So I've
Mm.
met so many incredible people from it. And it's been tough to kind of stick to my guns, to stick to stick with acting at the same time, because
Mm.
very often, I mean, there just seems to be such a demand for people who are interested in producing right now. Like the workload does not stop ever.
Wow.
But myself, and I'm lucky my producing partners are the same way. They're both brilliant actors as well. We're just always like, no, but like acting work still comes first for us.
Mm.
And so it's nice to keep myself surrounded by people who are like me, in a
Mm.
sense where it's like, we're not interested in waiting around anymore. If we want to
Mhm.
make something, we're going to make something. If we want to work with someone cool, we're going to work with someone cool. Usually regardless of the budget or the things at hand, but also we all feel the same way that like when the acting job does come through, it's just like, it's a huge bonus instead of what it was feeling before, which was like this desperate sort of a tangible
Yeah.
thing that we had to have all the time. And it's just such a tough business that it
Mhm.
just doesn't come all the time. And it doesn't mean that we're not worthy of, you know, feeling like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Of it coming all the time. I think that's so important. Like, I know when I started wearing other hats other than acting, I actually and then when I would meet people because of those, so they would know me as a producer, and I'm like, oh, I've literally just produced this one thing, like for me, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
or whatever. I think I started having fear that, like, wait, but I want everyone to know I'm an actor. Like I'm an
Yeah.
actor first. Do
Yeah.
you ever yeah, I guess what's your experience like with that, with like meeting people, and let's say it's because it's from a film that you're producing. Do you find yourself sort of like wanting to remind people like, no, I'm an actor first, or like I'm also an actor?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because I don't want to discount anybody that,
Mhm.
does get to be just an actor. That's incredible.
Mhm.
Um, not, it just hasn't happened for all of us just yet. And also some of my like role models in acting are like, Charlize Theron, who's got like a crazy amount of producing credits by her as well.
Mhm.
So I think people like her, even in the Hollywood world, where I'm just like, she's definitely known as an actor and
Yeah.
she produces a shit ton of stuff. I don't exactly know to what capacity. Like, I don't know how she's involved in all of the projects that she does,
Mhm.
but like, so yeah, I try to stay relevant. I try to stay out there.
Yeah.
I just like casually throw my acting demo reel out there every once in a
Yeah, you're like,
while.
oops, sorry, wrong
Yeah.
email. Sorry.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
agent definitely doesn't let me forget that I'm an
Yeah.
actor first as well. So that's helpful, where he's like, don't take a production job, like be available right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you ever like, do you prefer, I guess, to uh produce projects that you're in, or do you prefer to be producer or actor on
I,
jobs?
honestly, I think I started being like, I'm going to produce all the stuff that I want to be in.
Yeah.
And I did it once or twice and I realized how freaking hard it is.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so hard to separate those two things.
Mhm.
And as things grow, I look forward to maybe doing it more, but having more support,
Mhm.
as in the importance of a great production manager, other people on your team, blah, blah, blah. But so I'm very okay with not acting in the stuff that I produce. That
Yeah.
being said, I usually love to throw myself into some fun cameos whenever possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but it's really tough because a big part of producing is like getting people to that moment when they can finally film. And
Mhm.
then the whole part of acting is being so present and alive during that moment when you're filming.
Mhm. Yeah.
And usually as the producer, that's my moment to finally be like, okay, we made it. Like we're
Yeah.
here. So it's really, really, really tough to maintain all of that. And my utmost respect to the people who pull it off brilliantly. Like Katie Boland, I was just reading about her. Do you know Katie? An actor in the
Yeah.
city. She just produced, directed, and starred in her first feature film where she plays twins.
I
And I
saw
just read that
this.
headline and I was like, are you effing
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah. Like,
How the absolute heck are you doing that?
yeah. Yeah. Like first of all, doing one of those things, like even just directing your first feature or like writing your first, but doing two of those things, I would be like, how is she? Yeah. when I read that she was, I think I saw it on Instagram or something. I saw something that was like, what? First of all, even just playing twins as an actor is like enough of a huge monumental challenge, which would be so great to conquer. But doing all of those things, like, I don't even know if I have enough objectivity to direct myself, let alone direct myself twice. Like, I don't know if I could do that.
Holy hell. Yeah. I'm the same. Like, I don't know how people direct and act in the same things that they're in, but yeah.
No. Wow. It is true. I remember producing something that I wrote with other people, not on my own. But I remember, because of the producer side, we were working so hard to get it to the point, like you said, we're like, okay, we can film it. Literally, then I was like, oh, I guess we should also schedule in some time for us to learn our lines, like 2 days before. Right? And we were like, okay, well, we also wrote it, so I guess we'll just remember it from that. Like, there's just no time. You're producing up until you roll, and during, but I mean, really, like, so there's just, do you have any interest? Yeah, sorry.
No, it's funny that you say that. I remember that moment where I was like, I have not learned my lines.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And it's so ironic because like a lot of you're getting into producing because it's like, hey, create your own work. So you want to give yourself a role on camera, but then in doing so, you haven't prepared for the role like you would if you weren't producing. Like, it's just, it can be all over the place. So confusing and backwards.
Just bananas.
Yeah. Just bananas. Do you have any interest in directing ever?
Funny you ask, because the answer is no, but then, which I know, I realized a lot of people have asked that, and it seems to be a path for a lot of many people, but I really was never that interested. And I don't love bossing people around. I really hate making decisions. Like, it's something I've had to work on. I don't know if this is a Sagittarius thing or if it's just a Jen Pogue thing, but like, I will like debate a decision for way too long, and I'll always go with what my gut told me originally, but I need to think about it for a month. Like, I'm impossible. I married a director just so that he can make those decisions for me, because it's like, so I've never really had aspirations to become a director. I just wanted to support them, and I liked being around them. But I actually I realized as a producer a couple of years ago, I'm like, okay, to really get a handle on this producing thing, which I'm not there yet. I feel like it's a lifelong thing in a sense. But I'm like, I really need to understand everybody's roles that they play in this, so that I know what's going on the set. And a role that I just never really, I support directors, but they're so in charge of the creative, where I was so a part of the nuances, the making things happen, getting them the thing to make the vision happen. That I was like, what does a director think like? Like, how do I get inside a director's brain? Like, and the answer to that is to try it, whether you like it or not. Right.
Wow.
So just as I was thinking that thought, I got a phone call from Winnie Clark, who's a lovely actor that I had worked with on some sketches a couple years before. And she's like, Jen, I just got this grant through the ACTRA Young Emerging Committee, the YAY program that they've got there.
Out loud, yeah.
A bit of money to make it was a 5-minute film. It was 5 minutes and under. She's like, and I thought you'd be great at directing. And I was like, what? Like, I've never been known as a director before. She's like, I don't know, I just thought of you for this. I think you'd be great. Like, I wrote it, I'm gonna act in it, can you direct it? And I was like, you know what, this is a really, really great opportunity to practice exactly what I just preached in my head. So I directed this really sweet little 5-minute 2-hander set in one room. We filmed it in 6 hours. We only had 6 hours to film it.
Yeah.
It's called We're Not Talking About It. And it played at a couple little film festivals this year. And my process to directing it was pretty cool. My husband, who's an incredible director, he sat down with me for an afternoon and kind of mentored me and taught me how to put a shot list together, and some interesting creative things that like got the juices flowing a little bit, and then we all got together, and I had an incredible DP, Sabrina Spieltro, who
I love her.
Oh, good, you know her? She's awesome.
Oh my God, I've worked with her multiple times, and anytime someone here's an amazing thing too. Anytime someone needs somebody, I suggest her. but she's often too busy to do it. And I'm like, good that she's too busy. Oh,
Good
I
that she's too
love
busy.
her.
Yes. Yes, indeed. She was a gift. So
Yeah.
because I don't know a ton about the technical side of things either. And as a director, it's really handy if you do. Luckily she did, and she was not afraid to share all that with me. So it was great. So we just worked together like an awesome little team. And I had such a good time doing it. I was like, you know what? I could do this again, but I don't have to.
Oh,
So
you know what? That's amazing though. I think that's a great place to come from. I don't need it, but I could want it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
So yeah.
Wow. Good for you for just saying like, okay, I did just sort of put this in the universe. I'm going to do it. Fuck it. I'm going to do it. Like, good for you.
And then all of a sudden it called. I was like, whoa.
I know. Are you like, so are you spiritual at all? Or like, are you?
Yeah, I'd say medium.
Yeah. I think I would, it's so kind of like, I think I would agree with you. I'm not overly spiritual, but then things like that happen. And I'm like, this universe knows something is going on in here. That's wonderful. Like, what is this? What is that? I don't know what this is, but yeah, there's something.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't have like a ton of crystals next to me or anything like that. But every time moments like that happen, I'm like, cool.
Yeah, totally. Cool. It's funny you say that. I do have a couple crystals beside me here.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Well, I've collected only a couple, and even if it's just placebo, I do. I have one for help yourself tune into your creative side, and this one is live in the moment and don't overthink things.
I love
this is be yourself and be decisive, because I am so indecisive, like what you were saying. Yeah. It's awful. I am so indecisive. Indecisive. What do you think that comes from for you? What is the like anxiety about making a decision? What's the fear or the worry for you?
I don't know, the FOMO and of what you miss out on. Yeah. If you make that one decision or don't make another one. I don't know. What do you think it is for you?
I think for sure. Yeah, similar. I think I don't fully have a handle on it. I'm not totally sure, but I think I don't trust myself to make the right decision. I think that's what it is.
I think you nailed it with that. Yeah. Just like, but you always know, you always do know.
Right. There is a decision that feels more right for you. And maybe it just doesn't, maybe you're worried that it's going to hurt other people. And so you want to convince yourself to be happy with the other decision, you know?
Yeah. I just stopped. I used to be really addicted to applying to jobs. Yeah. And I don't know. I think this is the actor in me too. Like, you're just not afraid of rejection. I've talked to other people where they're like, every time if I don't get a job, like it kills me inside. I'm like, I'm not afraid of not getting a job. I'll apply for anything.
I'm like, nothing to lose here.
It's a comfortable feeling now if I don't get the job. That's yeah. So it's like, where was I going with that? Oh, the decision. So yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. But anyways,
you were saying that you're also indecisive. You used to be addicted to applying to jobs before. Yeah. And
so then I would sometimes get these random jobs, and then I would go for just days, like, do I want this? Do I not want this? Do I want this? I wasn't afraid to go for it. Yeah. But I was afraid to find out I got it, to decide if I wanted to do it or not, or like if it was the right thing to like change either.
Yes. You don't like change? You're not into change? Yeah.
Not super into change.
Yeah.
If it happens organically, amazing. If it's like a conscious decision and something in my power, I'm like,
Yeah. Well, again, it sounds like a change. It's like, if it happens, then it was out of your control. So you're not like, quote unquote, to blame. But then if you chose it and it doesn't go well, oh my God, I have so much of that too. Like, I'm a big change. I'm like, all right, bring it on. Then no problem. But if I'm choosing it and I'm like, oh my God, is everyone happy with this decision that I made? Is everyone happy with the change? Am I happy with the change?
Has everybody feeling okay? Yeah. Anyway, so I think we're basically the same person. And we should probably play sisters in something.
Oh my God, I would love that. And you can direct it or not. And we'll get, listen, we're going to only act in it. And we're just going to get wonderful people to direct. You heard it here.
So any other producers out there?
Yes.
Come on now.
Come on now.
We know how to help out with craft services, at least.
Oh my gosh. We know so much. That was one thing when I was producing, I was like, I need someone else to handle craft services because the decision making, I was like, I don't care. I'll eat whatever. But choosing what people eat, I'm like, I can't.
It's a
It matters
full-time
too
job.
much. It is. It is. Like,
It matters too much. Their happiness is too important to me for me to be the one that makes this
fuck
decision.
it up.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. That's so funny. Are you indecisive? Like, so you're saying like with professional things, but were you always indecisive, like growing up too?
Was I indecisive growing up too? Yes, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think a lot of things just kind of happen to you as you're growing up. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think you're really forced with any big important decisions until, depending on your life, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I guess
until
like
you're kind of out on
school.
your own and you're like, oh, my life is really in my hands now. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's really up to me. Like, no one's telling me what to do anymore. And I could just sit here and eat cheesies and watch American Idol. Or I could make some decisions about something to do.
Nah, eat the cheesies.
Nah.
Sometimes when I'm like, I could sit here and catch up on a reality show, or I could be what I'm sure is more adult and do other things. I'm like, no, but what's adult is being able to make my own decisions. So reality TV is what we're doing right now.
But then you have to choose which show.
Oh my God, I know. And I just choose all of them and then I'm exhausted.
And
then
sometimes
I'm tired.
it's like a good 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, I give up.
Yes.
I'm just going to watch Seinfeld reruns.
Yeah. Is your partner, is your husband indecisive as well? Or is he decisive like as a person? No.
I am unbelievably shocked by how quickly he can make very important decisions. And that's his job. Like he's a television director. He's paid to do that. And
to make decisions. Yeah.
Very well. Very well. And sometimes it's annoying because every once in a while I do have an opinion or I have a decision already made in my mind. But for the most part, just it's nice. It's nice to have him around when I'm like, oh my God, do we get the blue curtains or the purple curtains? Yes. Like I got to think about this for at least 3 months. And he will have ordered, that and 2 other backup sets by then. Because he's also preparing for the next war. Yeah. I'm telling you, we have so much toothpaste underneath our sink. It's crazy.
It's interesting what you stock up on, like what you choose. Yeah. Like we don't have toilet paper, but toothpaste. Let me tell you how much we have. Yeah.
That was a pandemic activity. I don't know. Yeah. Like there was that, luckily it didn't seem to last for too long, at least in my circles over here. But like, there was that part where we were like, what's going to happen? Our grocery store is going to close. Like we need to stock up. And we weren't the jerks that got the toilet paper, mostly because there wasn't much left at that point, but because I was a late to the game pandemic panicker. But I did have my moment where I was like, I need canned tomatoes. Like I need
canned tomatoes. All right.
I can make stews. I can make, and I bought so many canned tomatoes and I think I opened maybe 2 or 3 the whole time. And now I've just got like a whole cupboard full of canned
You're like,
tomatoes.
That's what I'm eating for dinner.
Yeah.
Every night it's canned tomatoes. Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah. I know. I stocked. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I stocked up on. I guess just certain, and the same, I went in and I was like, I live alone. My partner came to isolate with me and we were like, there's 2 of us. Like, we don't need too many things, but yeah, I accidentally stocked up on like 2,000 Q-tips. Like I have so many Q-tips. I don't know. I needed 1 pack and a friend brought me to Costco and I was like, I can only get this huge. Yeah. So if anyone needs Q-tips, that's so interesting. My partner and I are so similar in that I'm so indecisive and he knows what he wants and knows who he is. Not that I don't know who I am, maybe. Maybe. But maybe not. But what's like choosing a show on Netflix like for you two? If you're trying to decide what to watch.
It's hilarious. We have such different go-tos, and I will say I enjoy so much of it. I love that we have different tastes because I feel like if I was on my own, I would literally just watch Julia Roberts movies over and over again and terrible reality shows. That's my go-to is like the feel. stuff. And
Yeah.
his go-to is like war movies and political shows, which are anything but feel good.
Anything but feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. So so it's like, but then sometimes I'll sit down and watch it, like we're watching the circus right now, and it's nothing I would have turned on my own necessarily, but I'm so happy to have learned about it and like I felt like I'm more in touch with the world. So every once in a while it's a battle where I was like, like I cannot watch anything else with Donald Trump talking just before bed ever again.
Yeah.
Like,
I want Pretty
don't put it on.
Woman. Stop with this.
And he's like, I cannot watch another generic storyline where I know what's going to happen beat by beat by beat. That's what he'll be like. So then we meet in the middle and it's, oh God, I don't even know. What's in the middle?
I'm like, what's a movie where Julia Roberts talks to Donald
Goes
Trump
to war.
for a Julia Roberts, Eat, Pray, Love. That's an internal war. We could do that.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Eat,
true.
Pray, Love.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think he'd go for it, but I'm going to pitch that next time.
Yeah. Pitch it. Let me know how it goes. And you know what? He can be so proud that you're so decisive. Like you're going to walk in being like, I know what we're watching.
Yeah.
Great job. I'm proud of you, but no.
I am very proud of myself in those moments where I'm like, I know what it is. Boom.
Yes. Yeah. I love that.
I will say I hand the remote over to him more often than it's more him than me for sure, but he's got much better taste than I do.
And a lot of this stuff, it sounds like that you're choosing, which I'm actually very similar in this way too, which is so funny that a lot of the stuff that we're choosing is stuff we've already seen versus new stuff. And so I actually do the same. Like, I'm like, do you want to watch this? And he's like, we've already seen that. I just hand the remote to him too. He chooses and I'm like, okay, I'm having a new experience. That's fine. I'll take it.
All right. It's a new experience.
Yeah. I'm curious, Jen. Okay. So I don't know you very well. Like, I guess I should say for everyone, I think this is like
we're sisters.
Honestly, Jen, I am learning so many things about you in this conversation where I'm like, oh my God, I connect with you in so many ways. And, yeah, this is like our first one-on-one conversation ever. Maybe.
That is crazy. Yeah, you're right. We've only been in groups of people before, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying, this is my perception of you, and it could totally be wrong, but I feel like
let me tell you.
Yeah. I feel like I've always felt like we're similar in the way that you're very like, people would describe you as bubbly and like you're a very positive person. I think you make people feel really good when they're around you and you're full of energy and life. Like I'm feeling weird about it because I linked it to us being similar, and I'm like, this is now sounding like a humble brag, and also I want to like diminish it, but I don't want to diminish the compliment I'm giving you. So I'm having a conflict in my head. But basically, I think you are such a warm, inviting, like welcoming, wonderful, magical energy.
Oh
and
my God.
I do. And I just think, and so what I'm wondering is, people will often describe me, that they'll say that they think I'm like bubbly or positive or friendly. And I wonder, sometimes I think that makes people think that they can take advantage of me or that I don't have boundaries. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering what your experience is like in being a person who is so friendly and wonderful. And if you ever have to sort of like establish those boundaries, or if you find that people treat you differently than a person who's like a bit more maybe stoic or not as like openly friendly.
Oh, yeah. It's an ongoing battle, isn't it? It's just, I think it's constantly just checking in with yourself and equated taking on a project now, in a sense. I kind of equate everything in my life with like taking on a project. Like, what's the time frame of this project? Who are the people that are going to be involved in this project? What's my capacity for a project like this? And because everything just kind of sticks with you. And I feel that way with the people in my life too. Like once you're in my inner circle of like love, like I'm going to think about you a lot. I'm going to check in on you as much as I can. If I don't hear from you for a while, I'm going to be worried. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's a lot of energy. So it's just constantly checking in and being like, okay, what am I excited about? What is feeling like work right now? What can I delegate? Because I'm also not great at delegating. I'm a bit more of a yeser. Yes, I'll do it, rather than a, can you take care of that? Can you take care of that? Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a big
Mm-hmm.
old challenge, because often you'll find yourself, working in overdrive when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to relationships, when it comes to the work, when it comes to the passion projects, when it comes to so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And burnout is real. Burnout is a real thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, boundaries are like, it's definitely very personal for every single person, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just taking that time. I try to take at least one day a week where I'm not in front of the computer, I'm not thinking about work. I'm just kind of like doing something that I want to do.
Mm.
And usually that involves being outside in some capacity when it's safe to be outside
Yeah.
and, or warm enough to be outside. Hello, Canada. Yeah. So, and
Mhm.
those days off are really important to me, just to be like, just to have that check in with myself and like, what's working,
Mhm.
what's not working right now? What do I need to get through it rather than putting it off, or like deal with it rather than
Mm.
putting it off. And, are you feeling happy? Awesome. Keep doing your thing. Are you not
Yeah.
feeling happy? Okay. What's getting you down? So
Mm.
yeah.
I
Does that
love
answer?
that.
Is
Yeah.
that, yeah. You are such like, you're asking such great questions. I thought I was just going to be like,
Thanks,
I don't
Jen.
know.
You deserve to be asked good
Shooting the
questions.
shit. Yeah.
You deserve, like, I think too, how am I gonna say this? Like, I guess I approach these as like, none of these are going to be generic questions, because also, like, I've wanted to chat with you for years. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, they're going to be like tailored questions to you, because it's kind of like, hey, essentially it's like I'm seeing all this magic, and like you're thriving in these different ways, and I kind of want to learn how you're thriving in these ways that maybe I'm
Oh.
like struggling a bit, so I
Aw.
think, or that I connect with you and I'm like, how, yeah, I want to do more of that, like how, or I wonder if she's experiencing this too, because I do find I love who I am, and if people say I make them feel good, I love that. Or being friendly, like that's a natural thing, I don't want to stop doing that. And then sometimes you're like, well, it feels like sometimes the consequence of being friendly with people is they take that as consent to, like, to cross a boundary. And I don't
Mhm.
want to not be myself and be more, I don't want to be closed off and not myself, but I also don't want that to happen. So yeah, I see that you make people feel comfortable, and that, you're such like a ray of light. Anytime I run into you anywhere, I'm like, you're like, yeah, you shine so bright, Jen. That's the
Oh
cheesiest
my
thing I've ever said, but it's
God.
true. So I'm like, I wonder if if we relate in some way, that if people think I'm friendly, and clearly I think Jen's friendly, I wonder if, like, yeah.
Aw.
So I just
Well,
wonder if,
yeah, I surround myself with great people.
mm-hmm,
So I think that contributes to ongoing positivity, and that includes, like, I'm on the socials, my
mm-hmm,
Instagram feeds, the things that come into my life. Like I think I try to keep the sunshine pretty strong, while also
mm,
staying, like, keeping a foot on the ground to, like, the issues at hand and what's going on. Yeah, but it's tough though. There's definitely energy suckers out there.
mm,
And I'm also I really hate conflict. I don't like it at all.
mm,
I approach um, people and situations with the best of intentions. Like, I expect the best from everybody. I don't go into it waiting for someone to screw up or something to screw up. You know what I mean? So
mm.
to want to pull away from something takes a lot, because I will work with you to get us to a place where we can, like, be on the same level.
Mm.
Because I think everyone's got in it. Some people have more, layers that you have to work through, in a sense,
Mm-hmm,
including myself. Like, I'm usually pretty shy when you first meet me.
mm-hmm,
I'll just kind of sit back and assess the energy, in a sense.
mm-hmm,
I do find that once I can get to a place where I feel like we can connect with, this is with people, like, once we're kind of like, once we kind of get each other, that's where I feel
mm.
like I can relax a little bit and really kind of be myself.
Yeah,
um but sometimes they gotta get to that place first, gotta give it a little
yeah,
bit of time and not expect it right away.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So a lot of listening, a lot of feeling, a lot of
Mm.
energy, in a sense. But yeah, once I'm comfortable with something, once you're in, like I said before, once you're like in, and I feel like we've made a connection, like you're in. I'm not going to forget you. That's why you say like, we haven't really talked. I'm like, really? Because which is true. But I feel like when we first met, I was like, oh, I get this girl. Cool.
Oh, I love that. I felt similar. So I love that. I think I only realized we haven't had a one-on-one conversation because I was trying to think, is this going to be our first one? Like when I booked you on the podcast. And it did surprise me because we've like bumped it. I feel like I've talked to you and hung out with you more than I actually have in real life. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, it's probably true.
Maybe it's an energy thing.
Maybe it's an
maybe it's an energy thing. I love that. What kind of people do you think, like when you look at friends or relationships or things, like what kind of people do you think you're typically drawn to?
Well, people who make decisions. We've established that.
Decisive. Anyone who's decisive. Yeah.
I absolutely admire people who just know who they are, who stand their ground.
Yes.
A lot of my girlfriends are the same way. People that I friggin' admire. I'm like, yeah.
You're like, that's a friend. Let's do it.
And if you're funny, that's a bonus.
Oh yeah. You're like, first, do you make decisions? Second, do you know who you are?
Yeah.
And third, if you're funny, great. But if not, we'll take it's fine.
Fourth, do you like patios? And or do you like to sit in a park? And can we like break bread together? Sweet.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so great. Well,
it's really the simple things in life, eh? It's just like, I feel like I work for those moments. I live for those moments. I'm just like, I just love to finally connect with people and break bread with them.
It is. It's the best. And I think it's very easy, especially with, you know what, I shouldn't say especially with this industry, because that's so biased because I'm not in another one. But yeah, it's very easy for, for me to realize, oh, when was the last time I just like really sat and connected with someone and just chatted without like ulterior whatever, Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. Yeah, it is. I think it's interesting because it is the simple things, and everyone has different simple things of what they're like drawn towards in other people. And yeah,
I think I love honesty as well. Like authentic, honest living too, like going for it, not being afraid to put it on the table. Yeah. That's what I find in so many of my friends in the arts as well, right? Like we're honestly, we're just going for it. So
we have to.
Yeah. We have to. So I definitely, that's a big part of the circle of people that I surround myself with, because that's what keeps me going, and I hope I keep them going too. So
oh, I love that. Okay, well, thinking about, you're talking about people who go for it and people who like know who they are and that you admire. I would love to talk to you about the podcast that you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. So you are an associate producer for Women on Screen, and and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you co-created and now co-host the Women on Screen Out Loud podcast.
Women is a hard word to say sometimes.
Why am I going from
women?
Woman.
No, it's a tough one sometimes. Women on Screen.
That. So generous of you, Jen. You're like, it's fine. Women, we never say that word. It's a hard word.
No, it's a hard one. Women on Screen Out Loud is a podcast that I co-created and co-host with my good friend Lara Jean Korostecki.
Oh wait, you froze. Wait, I don't want to.
It was Jean sort of Chelsea.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. You
okay.
Froze. Okay, come back. Wait, say that again. Say it again, because I don't want them to lose that about it. Okay.
Women on. Okay.
Take two.
I was good the first time. Okay. Women on Screen Out Loud is a podcast that, I co-host and co-created with my good friend Lara Jean Korostecki. She sort of takes on the interviews. She's so gifted with the gift of gab, just like you, and getting into the nitty gritty of the interviews. And I do a lot of the intros, and we both prepare the interviews all together. And basically, we interview women on all sides of the camera. By asking them to compose a personal essay, and then they read it out loud, and then we have a short interview session afterwards. where we kind of get into the nitty gritty of the essay and their thoughts and feelings. And it's meant to serve as a platform to really inspire women in the arts, specifically in film. Yeah. And it's
amazing.
It's pretty awesome. It's a different format in a sense, but it's also kind of an opportunity to get really specific about what it is that they want to say, with a special emphasis on how do they get to be where they are today. So yeah.
And first of all, it's an amazing podcast. I should also just say, not that I need to say
you.
that, but it's so wonderful. I've been tracking it since the beginning. So amazing. And I thought, like, when I heard the premise, what a wonderful way to empower your guests, in that this is meta because I know you're currently a guest on my podcast. And I'm saying this,
awesome.
But I just thought it was so cool that, of course, most, like a podcast would be, I'm asking you questions. And this is a way where it's like, hey, guest who we admire and value and respect, like, what do you want to talk about? What is the thing that you find like specifically important right now that you want to speak about? I think that is such a wonderfully, like, empowering way to approach and serve your guests. I think that's so wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, I won't take full credit of it. Largene came up with the concept and sort of the format, and I was right on board. But it's been a pretty cool journey to sort of just offer that and see what we get back. And they are true gifts in a sense.
Yeah.
And it's really inspiring to continue that practice of not necessarily essay writing, but, journaling, composing, writing down your thoughts, using it as a form of meditation. Because some really beautiful stuff has transpired from it. It's fun when we've had a lot of writers, obviously, it's kind of a written thing. We didn't think, usually the writers that we approach are like, yeah, no problem. Whoop, 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 boom, there it is.
You're like, this was genius. How did they do this in 30 seconds? Yeah.
Good Lord. But we've had a lot of, like, we just had a great interview with Jill Purdy, who's a sound and dialogue editor. Her voice is not heard very often, and she's an incredibly inspirational person, as well as an actor, Caroline Devaness, who's incredible, an incredible actor in her art, but she's never written anything before. And her essay is like, I can't wait. We haven't released it yet, but it's about aging in the industry. And it's pretty groundbreaking, the things that she comes up with and says, and it's so relatable to so many of us, whether we're in the arts or just being a woman. See, I just said it wrong.
I'll just edit it and switch when you said women and I needed to say it, and then when I said woman, I'll just switch that. It'll be our different voices. Yeah. Wow.
But we truly leave each session just being like, oh my God, what a gift. Like, this is incredible. So yeah.
It is.
Thank you for listening.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for making it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the, so I've been, and I feel like I say this so many episodes lately, so I really need to stop, but it took me a very long time to finally I've wanted to do this for a very long time. And it took me a long time to be like, okay, just do the thing you set out to do. Like, just make the podcast you wanted to make. And there have been a handful of podcasts along the way where I've seen them, come out, and I've been like, all right, use that as inspiration. Let's go. Like, see, you love this thing. Go do, and anyway, but Women on Screen Out Loud was one thing where when it came out, I was like, see, you already know you want to talk to women who you admire in the industry. Like, look how beautiful this project is. Go start it already. Yeah. So thank you guys. I'm curious how it, sort of how it came about, and was it an idea that was like, I was gonna say birthed. That's a weird verb, but sure. An idea that was birthed alongside women on screen, alongside women on screen, or like birthed separately. And then you guys, and then you and Laura approached women on screen, or how did that sort of work out?
We were both, we both have been friends with the founders of Women on Screen for a couple of years, and we both had volunteered, sort of helped out, earned our associate producer titles in a sense, by helping them with their incubators that they hold once a year. It's their writers incubators, where they basically have these workshops that help these emerging web writer people like yourself, web series writers.
Yeah.
Were you part of it?
No, but I've attended a few of them because friends have been a part of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So I saw you at was it the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I helped work with them to get the live events going where they read out excerpts of the writers who were selected, read out excerpts of their scripts to a live audience. And we had like a little to do and a showcase. It was, it's been a really awesome thing that I look forward to every year for the last couple of years. So I was working with them already. And so was LJ. We both kind of started working with them around the same time. She was helping with casting them. And then she just kind of approached me and she's like, hey, I have an idea for podcasts. You make things. I was like, I haven't made a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, me neither. You want to figure it out? And I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how it started. How most things start.
Yeah. Do you want to do this thing? Yeah. Let's do it.
But we definitely work really well together. Like for me in particular, I really love having partners and things that hold me accountable. And to check in with, and I love her energy and our gifts complement each other to make it happen. So I feel really lucky to have found that and to be continuing it.
You do so many different creative things, like producing shorts and features and acting, and like you're a freelance florist and like, all these things, or your Storytime project, like all of these amazing creative endeavors that like touch upon so many different areas. And I think it's incredible. I'm wondering, like, what is the criteria in a creative project that needs to be there for you to be excited about it, or you to be like, yep, I want to do that, to say yes to a creative project, no matter what the medium might be? That's
a really good question. It's one of those ones where you just say, yep, without thinking about it.
Yeah.
In a sense, because then of course my indecisive brain will be like, but can I handle it? And like, it doesn't matter if it's an immediate, like, yeah, this sounds great. Like it just, not that every project's not great, but just some resonate with me more than others do, because, we all connect to different things. So a lot of it is kind of, the people behind it. And I think everyone's awesome, but like if I think we will have a great work dynamic, like I've worked with some really close friends and it doesn't really work out all that well all the times, because sometimes you're too close to that person. So like just work the people, the project. Honestly, if I don't have to think about it and I'm just like, yeah, I want to be part of that, I'll do it. If I don't have time, I'll probably figure out a way to make it happen. Wow. I'm trying to do that less and less, because you end up in a bit of trouble if you keep saying, because there's just so much cool projects. There's so many cool projects out there. Also, if it's something that I haven't done before and I've always been interested in, like directing, like things like or a project of a new genre, even the podcast platform, I was like, I have no idea. Let's figure it out.
I love that. And I was curious because you see it in such a wonderful way. You seem to like embrace saying yes. And then also I'm like, oh, okay, so how does that work with her indecisive brain? Like, I love, it sounds like you allow your gut instinct to say the yeses. And then the indecisive might be later of like, okay, but like, how, or like what? But you trust the gut instinct. And I think that's so fucking admirable. I think that's so wonderful to trust. That's how you're going to find yourself in positions where you're happy, really, and fulfilled. I'm going to do that more.
I mean, short form projects are fantastic because eventually they'll come to an end, right? So if it wasn't a good experience, it's done.
That's the beauty of it. So
you find something similar to it. So
yeah. That's a great little nugget of advice right there that I don't even know if you meant to give, but that was like, listen, try a short film first with them. You like it, then you do a feature. Don't start with the feature with the people you don't know.
Oh my God. The first feature that I made, if I knew what I was getting myself into, I made it with my husband. That's another story for another time. But like, if I knew what I was really, truly getting myself into, there's no way I would have done it. We did it. I'm so glad I did it. It was hard. But that's why it's like, okay, well, sometimes you just got to say yes, and then you figure out what you got yourself into when you're in it.
Totally. You just sort of, you just dive in, and then you're like, okay, here we go.
All right,
I'll figure it out. And you trust yourself that you'll figure it out. I think that's a big thing too, is that, and then time and time again, you give yourselves opportunity to prove prove yourself to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Prove yourself to yourself.
Prove yourself to yourself. And you're like,
That's,
see, I knew I could fucking do it. Why was I doubting myself? I knew
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just it, right? Like everything comes to an end eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to get too hung up on when I'm in it, and if it's not going so well,
Mm-hmm.
I will figure my way out of it eventually.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you just got to remember to breathe in those moments and just
Yeah.
keep trucking, and you like the end of the day will come at some point.
Yes. My symbolic 5 p.m. clock out will come eventually.
Oh, if only it was a 5
If only
p.m.
it was 5 p.m., right?
Yeah.
I know. I was like, I better put symbolic in front of this because this isn't literal 5 p.m. What's an area, or what's a creative project or a creative area that you haven't gotten to dive into yet that you want to? It might be hard nowadays, but to think about that. But yeah, but what's
definitely writing. I think I've kept myself busy enough over the years to not write, like on purpose in a sense, because then all of a sudden the pandemic hit and like all the projects got canceled and everything was quiet and I couldn't go anywhere. So I'm like, okay, this is my time to write.
Yeah.
But then I swear to God, that was like something I've been trying to do forever. And I just always find a reason not to. So eventually, I will finish something, and it will probably not be great, but I will feel really good about finally finishing my screenplay.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
What is it? What do you think holds you back from getting started in writing?
From getting started. I just don't have the attention span for it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think I'm too good at distracting myself. I'm also very, very good at getting myself busy in other people's projects and not my own.
Isn't that a truth to spill right there? Yeah.
And I'm definitely a people pleaser. So those needs will come before my own. So yeah.
It's easier to be motivated by other people's needs than writing something where you're like, I'm just writing this for me. So if other people need me, this will like drop in the priority list.
Yeah. I'm also very not confident in my writing abilities, which makes me want to push myself, like for sure. But I just need those boosts every once in a while to finally get it done. Yeah. Writing is hard though.
It's fucking hard.
So much respect for writers. So friggin' much. Like my good friend, Adam Langton, who I was talking about before, who wrote Time Out. Like I can literally be like, Adam, I need a 10-page script by the end of the weekend to submit to this thing. And he'll be like, boom, 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 there you go. And I'm like, do you understand? And it's so good. It's so good. Like he's so gifted at it. And it will take me 10 years to write something like that. I swear to God. Sometimes it takes me a day to write a paragraph.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is I mean, of course it's a talent. It is also a muscle that you have to work. And I would say too, he might come to you and be like, hey, I have this script, but like, I sort of need you to like I need to somehow put together a plan of like how much this will cost and how we could shoot this and how long. And you could put that together quickly, you know? Yeah. And so, but I'm with, actually, you spoke about the Women on Screen incubator. Yeah. So I can write with other people, but writing myself, again, I'm like, okay, well, we'll just put this on the back burner. Like I have a short film that I wrote years ago that is still in a first draft. I've left it. So I actually used the incubator application deadline. I was like, you are going to apply to this. You're going to write a pilot script by yourself and you're applying to this. And I missed the first year because I think I was I was scared. Like I couldn't get myself to do it. So finally the next year, it took me a year. But again, I realized the deadline was coming up. I saw it on social media or something. I had a month. I was away for 2 weeks of that month. And I was like, fine, you're just going to write it in 2 weeks. And I finished it. And just the pilot, I was so proud that I was able to finish it. I've done nothing with it. But I think partly, you know how you said, just say yes and you go. The thing I hate about writing is the first draft is going to be crap. It's going to be a bunch of turd shit. And I can't handle that emotionally. That's the thing. I can't handle like producing or creating something that I'm like, this is a turd. I can't handle it yet. And I'm like, I just have to write a bunch of crap every day until I don't feel like it's crap anymore. But I can't get myself to do it because I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
We need to be kind to ourselves.
Right? We do.
Yeah. And yeah, it definitely, that's why we surround ourselves with these people that do inspire us or do these things, so that I can call somebody like Adam and just be like, Adam, write my bio for me, please. I will buy you a beer, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but also, like, I'm sure he'll be there for me as well when when I do finally pump out 10 pages and they're shit, but I'm like, please just give me some notes.
Yes. And you're not seeing his first pages, his first draft, you know, or his first draft he ever wrote. So I think, yeah, but you know, you deserve to write something if you want to write something. You deserve to be priority one, Jen.
Thanks.
You know, or you know what you do is you write with a friend, and then that's a baby step before. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, that's still feeding into the people pleasing, because that's what I do. But
I love that I actually haven't met that many writers who prefer that. So it's interesting to hear you say that. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably do really well in a writing room.
I have no idea. No clue. But I think writing with other people somehow it's like other people are depending on you. So you have to pump out these pages. Yeah. But also, I mean, we need to get to a place where it's like, no, I'm pumping out these pages for me and only me. And it's still worth it. Maybelline,
and it's still worth it.
And it's still worth it.
Which is hilariously part of the podcast that I produce. I encourage people to write about themselves.
Oh my God.
Put it out there, right? But I'm like, you go ahead. Please, you do it. I'm like, I'm in awe of how they do it.
I think you should be a guest on the podcast, Jen. I feel like you need to write something and be a guest on the podcast.
It's hilarious that you say that, because it probably would be my worst nightmare, and I would spew about it for months.
Yes.
But I have challenged myself a couple times. I'm like, at some point you should probably just practice what you preach again here.
Yeah. Or even like find a deadline of something, and even if you're not going to apply to it, set it, or like say, I'm gonna write. I think that was why the incubator was great, because it was a web series pilot. So it was only like 8 pages that you had to do.
Nice.
So it's like, okay, I don't have to do a 22-minute pilot episode by myself right now and face my demons right now. I can just do 8 pages of facing my demons. I can do that.
8 pages.
8 pages.
It's only like 80 demons.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no, when I'm saying 8 pages in my head, I'm like, that's a fucking lot of pages. I don't want to do that many. Like, ew. Oh my God. Well, to sort of end here, Jen, I would love to, I want to, okay. So it's so funny. I want to ask you about some of your favorite things. And I didn't know you were indecisive. I don't like being asked about my favorite things because I can't decide on them. And I feel
I'm like, how is this going to go? Great. Okay.
I feel unfair to the other things that I'm not choosing. But here's what's funny. Because of that, I prefaced in this in my notes that I was like, listen, this is just what your favorite thing is right now in the moment. So 5 minutes from now, it can change. It's not like, so no pressure. Okay. But that's I wrote that in there for myself and didn't realize, oh, you're also indecisive. This is fabulous. This totally works. Okay. So today, this evening, right now, what is your favorite TV show?
I think it's, I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is the Raptors, because I know that they're playing.
Yes.
I think they're playing right now, which is fine. I don't care. I don't mind missing. I really, really like the last 15 minutes of sporting games. That's when it gets really exciting. I don't really tune in until then. Then I'm like, all right, it's just really drawn out for me before that. So that tonight, Bears fan.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay. What is your favorite candle scent?
Oh, vanilla something. Usually vanilla with a little like maybe lavender or like a something in there, but I'm a big vanilla fan. I'm so vanilla.
I love it. Vanilla is a great fucking scent. There's a reason why so many people like vanilla. So it's great. I love it. What's your favorite kind of gift to receive?
Oh, favorite kind of gift to receive. I guess I would say I feel like this podcast is full of them right now, because compliments are lovely.
Oh,
you receive the gift of a compliment.
Oh, I love that answer, Jen. And you're in my brain. Literally, my next question is, what's your favorite compliment you ever got? You're We are sisters. You're in my
We
head.
are sisters.
Oh my God.
My favorite compliment I ever got. Oh my gosh.
I should preface that you can remember so that nobody's like, I gave her an amazing compliment. I'm like, what the heck?
Oh, I had a funny one, but I can't remember it. Warren just yesterday said something and I was like, that's the nicest compliment you've ever said to me. But it was something like, wow, you smell really good today or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's nice of you to say.
You smell like vanilla today with a little bit of lavender. And you're like,
yeah, as opposed to every other day when you don't smell very good.
You're like, excuse me. Like for real though, sometimes when people give compliments, I have to stop myself from reading into the compliment. Not saying that you did that, but like sometimes if someone gives me a compliment, my negative talk will go straight into like reading into that compliment and spinning it in a negative way. I'm like, hold on, chill. They gave you a compliment. Like, let's just absorb that. Cause God knows if they like were rude to you, you'd absorb that. So absorb the compliment. My God.
I remember, that's it. Like, if they're like, hey, that's a really great shirt. I'm like, what are they really saying? What's wrong with my shirt?
Yeah. Like, do they mean that? Do they hate all my other shirts? Yeah. And you're like, yeah, really? They were just like, oh my God, I love Jen. And like, I want to connect with her. You know what? I really like her shirt. Okay. I'm going to tell her. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I really like your shirt. And you're like,
what? Why do you hate me so much? What's wrong?
Why are you bullying me? Why
is my tag inside out?
Is this inside out?
Is this inside out? Yeah. Is the tag showing?
Did I get nominated again in Milan? What is happening? God.
What is happening?
And then, what's your favorite spot in your home?
Oh, my favorite spot in my home. I have a window seat, and it's something that I had always dreamed of having as a young child, was of having a window seat that I could sit in and watch the world go by and just like read my books and stuff like that. And so I would say the window seat is like, that's my place. That's my place.
I love that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Last favorite. What's your favorite kind of food to order for delivery?
Oh, that's indecisiveness is kicking in. A really good pizza, like from like a fancy pizza, I call it. That's like way too expensive, but delicious. There's a couple great ones in Toronto. I just tried one recently called Blondie's. That's fairly new on Ossington Avenue. If any pizza lovers out there listening, oh my God, it's delicious. So yeah, a good pizza, because I can't make that really. That's
such a good, totally. When I'm ordering, if it's something I could make at home, I'm like, no, I'm not going to, that does not worth it for me. Yeah.
Or really good Thai food. There's never a bad time for noodles.
Never. Oh my gosh. Honestly, there's this place on Bloor and Kiel-ish called Isander. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Isander, maybe. And it got my partner and I through isolation. Like we ordered from it's one of the best Thai places in Toronto that I've ever tried, other than Kowsan Road, which is also good. Yes, I will message you with some Thai places, because
yes, please.
Love. Okay, I love that. Oh, okay. Well, my last question for you, Jen, is when was the last time that you felt really proud of yourself or really victorious?
Oh my good God. I think it was a couple days ago when this girl named Amanda messaged me and asked me if I would be on her podcast. And I was like, what? Am I guest worthy? And she was like,
right.
And then I was like, okay.
I feel like you probably have people asking you like, hey, could I chat with you? Could I ask you some questions? Could you be a guest on my podcast? All the time. I was like, there's no way you're surprised.
I was surprised. I was really surprised.
Really?
Yeah. I think especially like, a lot of performers get asked for this. I don't feel like I'm on that side of things as much anymore. So it's really nice to get a chance to talk about, the other stuff too. So I appreciate that I'm on your radar.
Yes. And also, I think you're an incredible actor. I've seen your reel, and not just for the podcast. When I was watching How to Buy a Baby, I was like, fuck, Jen is killing this. I saw in Time Out, like I was like trying to see any bits that I could see. And this was like a while back. And then I rewatched it before this too.
Oh my God, you're an angel.
You are so lovable and you're so subtle. Also, you're funny as hell. In Odd Squad, you had a very difficult moment where you had to go back and forth between two decisions, which is actually so funny that you're indecisive because you had to decide whether to be turned into a human or a horse, and you couldn't decide.
My character's name was Woman with Identity Crisis, and I was like, well, obviously I'm going to get this. Yeah.
Like, I don't need to audition. Let me know when I show up on the day. Oh my God. Now knowing you better, that's so funny that was the character you were. But I remember seeing and just thinking like, fuck, she's playing this well. You had to basically say like something like human, no horse, human, no horse. And you had to say it as an actor. I was like, fuck, this is so easy for this to go completely dead. And you killed it. You're an amazing actor, Jen. I mean, that's what I think of you as first. I think you're an incredible actor who somehow manages to keep up an acting career and also do every other fucking thing that her heart is excited about. And I'm like, I want to do that. Like, great.
Bless your sweet little heart. You are doing it, and keep doing it. Just keep doing it.
You too.
Yeah. We're just going to keep doing it.
Oh, I wore floral for you today. I forgot to say I did wear flowers for you. I was like, she loves floral. She loves flowers.
You're literally in my closet right now. You can see how much floral print I've got going. I know, it's crazy.
I love flowers.
I have an obsession.
It's a great obsession. It's happy. It's nature. You know, for your day off in nature, you can frolic with the flowers. It's fabulous.
It's true.
I love it.
A great hobby.
I love it so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go and catch the exciting time of the Raptors. Thank you so much.
Sports.
Yeah, sports. And to end this podcast, sports. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Liquid Courage podcast. If you liked what you heard, please help me out by leaving a rating or a comment on your Apple Podcast app or on YouTube or wherever you might be listening from. And if you're like me and you have an awful memory, or you just don't want to have to remember when the next episode comes out, hit that subscribe button and the newest episode will automatically download for you. Just like magic. I love it. You can also follow the podcast on Instagram at Liquid Courage Podcast and on Twitter at Liquid C Podcast. And if you're still listening, I want to remind you that a pandemic is still taking place. And I don't say that to be a buzzkill or to scare you, but to ask you to please continue or start wearing your mask when you're out of your house and around other people. We should be treating people how we want to be treated. And if you want to be safe and healthy, respect the health and safety of the people around you. Please. Thanks again for listening. It means the world to me. Stay safe and take care.